So maybe an avoidant is pulling away from you and you're wondering how a secure person would respond. Well, I'm going to share some things with you. So if you're involved with, say, someone with avoidant tendencies, they tend to pull away. You might be left, confused, questioning what's going on in this dynamic. You might start questioning yourself, asking if you did something wrong or maybe you said something wrong. Here's how a secure person would handle this if their partner or an avoidant or whoever it is starts pulling away from them, becomes less responsive. A secure person wouldn't be so quick to make assumptions. Now, if you have an anxious attachment style, if you have anxious tendencies, relationship anxiety, then it's easy to fall into that trap, to start making these assumptions. You start taking off, and your imagination starts taking off. You start thinking of these worst case scenarios. You think of these the worst assumptions. You think it's all about you. It's very easy to fall into that. But a secure person doesn't do that. They're aware that it's more, there's a bigger picture than that. It's not always about them, not necessarily something that they did or said. It's could be so many other things going on in the other person's life. So that's the first thing. Don't be so quick to make assumptions. Don't be so quick to fall into your relationship anxiety and start spiraling into these worst case scenarios. Okay. What you can do is come from a place of curiosity. You can gently, softly ask your partner if they're doing okay, if everything is okay. Now, I want to talk about something. I want to talk about emotional safety. Now, this comes with a secure attachment style. Okay, so if you have a secure attachment style, you have emotional safety. What I mean by that is your sense of worthiness, your sense of being, your sense of happiness comes from within you. It comes from within. You're able to provide that for yourself. It's not tied to another person. It's not dependent on another person's moods or actions or behaviors in a relationship. When you have emotional safety, that's something that you've created for yourself. So that's something that a secure person, that's something that someone with a secure attachment style would have. Since they have that for themselves, they're not gonna worry too much about why their avoidant partner is pulling away, why their partner is pulling away from them. Of course, there'll be some care, some concern, but they're not going to spiral into anxiety. Now, if you have an anxious attachment style, you tend to do this because you don't have emotional security. You don't have that bedrock that you've created for yourself within. You don't have that. Since you don't have that, your happiness, your sense of worthiness, your sense of being is tied to your partner, to your relationship. So when they pull away, you begin to panic. You begin to think of worst case scenarios. You go through withdrawals. You try to hold on tighter. You try to seek immediate resolution. A secure person doesn't need to do that. I'm not saying they never feel anxiety. They do, but they know how to manage it. They're very self-aware, and they've created emotional security, emotional safety from within. So that's why they don't feel the need to worry, be too concerned about why the other person is pulling away. They're able to provide emotional safety for themselves, within themselves, and for themselves. And they know how to give space to their avoidant partner. They know how to read cues and, pick up on when they should take a step back and give space without overthinking it, without thinking too much about it, and without making it all about them. So that's, and I've talked about this a lot on this channel, emotional safety. It's like having a superpower in life. When you can create, when you can create emotional safety for yourself, it's going to make you so unshakable, so calm, and so confident in any situation. Because again, you've provided this for yourself. It's something that nobody can take from you, not your partner, not your boss, not anybody, friends, family, nobody. This is something you've provided for yourself. You've created it for yourself. And Here's the other thing about emotional safety. What it does is when you can create that for yourself, when you've created emotional safety for yourself, people, your avoidant partner, they're going to feel that. They're going to pick up on it, right? And I guess here's what it does. It makes them feel emotionally safe. Because you've created emotional safety from within, it's going to make them feel emotionally safe. So when they do pull away, you're not going to be so quick to close that gap or seek immediate resolution or be so quick to fix or save or rescue anything or anyone. No, you know how to sit with yourself and regulate your nervous system and process your emotions and sit with your thoughts, let them process and let them pass because you've created emotional safety from within. Now, another thing a secure person has, so when an avoidant pulls away, right? Again, because they have that emotional safety, their sense of worth and their sense of being is not so tied up to their partner, so tied up in the relationship. They can find fulfillment in so many other things in life. So they don't make their partner their only source of happiness, their only source of fulfillment. A secure person finds fulfillment in so many other things that make them independent. For me, for example, I find fulfillment in my art and my fitness routine and my work. There's so many other things that a secure person has. So yeah, it can be your art, it can be your work, it can be your fitness routine, it can be your family, your friends, your dog. There's so many other things you can find fulfillment and happiness in, and it's not all tied to one partner or one relationship. And that's something that a secure person has. That is a big part of creating emotional safety for yourself, right? And the avoidant partner, whoever's pulling away, whoever it is in your life that's pulling away, they're going to feel that emotional safety, right? They're going to feel that sense of space and freedom, and they're going to feel safe to come back. What happens in an anxious-avoidant dynamic, if you have an anxious attachment style, is, of course, the anxious person, and they may not be doing this on purpose. They're acting from a dysregulated nervous system that they're probably not even aware of. But an anxious person will hold on tighter and seek immediate resolution and be very quick to make assumptions and try to fix and save and rescue and solve and think of all these worst case scenarios and chase their partner down. That creates an emotionally unsafe dynamic, an emotionally unsafe environment for the anxious person and for the avoidant, because the avoidant feels they feel bombarded, right? They feel pressured by all of that, and the anxious person is acting from anxiety. They're acting based off of their triggers, their anxious wounds, and that's why they're doing these things, holding on tight or seeking immediate resolution, etc., etc. So that's something a secure person, again, doesn't have to do. They've created emotional safety within themselves so they can operate independently. All of their happiness and fulfillment is not tied to one person or one relationship. It's tied to many things: art, work, hobbies, fitness, other relationships, friends, family, whatever. It's something that a secure person has. Nobody can ever take that from them. A secure person is solid and independent and safe within themselves. Again, not that they don't ever feel anxiety. We're human. We all experience anxiety, including secure people. But what separates a secure person is they've created emotional safety within. They are very self-aware of their anxiety, of their tendencies, and they know how to process their anxiety, okay? So they know how to sit by themselves with their thoughts, with their anxieties, with their worries, and process those. Sit with them and process them, right? They're not, what they don't do is send that anxiety to other people, their partner, their avoidant, whoever. What I mean by that is a secure person, when they do experience anxiety and worry, whatever, when an avoidant pulls away, they sit with it by themselves, and they let their worries, their anxieties, their emotions, they let it process and pass. What they don't do is package it up into a phone call or a text message or whatever, and send it off to their avoidant partner because they don't want to sit with it, right? That's what an anxious person does. That's the problem with an anxious attachment style. In a way, they're avoidant of their own emotions, their own anxieties. They don't want to sit and process their thoughts, their emotions, their anxieties. So what do? Since they don't want to sit by themselves with it, they'll package it up into a phone call or a text message or whatever and send it off. Send it off to their avoidant partner because they don't want to sit with it. They can't sit with it and let it process and pass themselves. A secure person knows how to do that. Whatever anxieties, whatever worries that they have, they can sit with it by themselves, let it process and pass, and create that emotional safety for themselves. So that's how a secure person responds when an avoidant pulls away. I hope this video was helpful. Please share your thoughts in the comments. What are some stories or that you have to share? Have you ever experienced anything like this in this anxious avoidant dynamic? Are you a secure person? Are you working towards a secure attachment style? Please let me know. I love reading everybody's stories. But you take care, and I'll see you in the next video.